This is Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. I'm Pia Ontiveros. Tonight on the program, deserted and devastated, take a walk through the ruins of Marawi and the crowded evacuation centers of Iligan.
Mga anak pa ako na ganitong sitwasyon. Ngayon, mga bata nagkakasakit.
Not far from Marawi, hundreds more displaced after the Bangsamoro freedom fighters attacked a town in North Cotabato. Tense times for Muslims in Metro Manila. Leaders raised discrimination and security concerns in a dialogue with the police. And a battle that fans have been waiting for, winter, is here in a new Game of Thrones trailer. A full month into the crisis, Marawi City remains a dangerous place. You're seeing the CCTV footage of a stray bullet hitting a utility worker inside the capital. People rush to him and help him into an ambulance. Newsnight is above and beyond the headlines with our correspondents. David Santos is in Iligan City with the latest on the Marawi crisis. Also in Iligan, Camille Abadisho checking the situation of evacuees. Here in Pasay, Manila, three countries meeting to battle extremism. Ina Andolong is there, while George Cahiles is in Taguig monitoring a dialogue between police officials and Muslim leaders. Day by day, as intense fighting rages on, the Islamic city of Marawi, dubbed the summer capital of the South, turns into a virtual ghost town. We have new images for you tonight. Our senior correspondent, David Santos, joins us live from Iligan. David, what is the latest from Ground Zero?
Well, Pia, as you mentioned, exactly a month since Marawi came under a terror siege, still no end in sight in government's campaign to regain full control of the war-torn city. Now, tonight, the threat still persisting even on what was declared as safe zones in Marawi. Amid the tragedy in Marawi, more happy reunions. This woman could not hide her tears after seeing her brother, who was trapped in the war zone for almost a month. This video shows army troops rescuing an elderly couple. The old man was too frail to walk, so an army soldier carried him on his back. It was a struggle for the troops. Amid the heavy downpour, they also had to dodge bullets raining down on them from snipers.
One of their tactics right now is to use the civilians to lure the troops, the army troops, so that they can have a clear view of their shots.
On reaching safety, the old man is fed with bread and given hot coffee. It appears he hasn't eaten for days. But despite their pitiful condition, rescued civilians still have to face questioning and go through safety checks. There are concerns they've been turned into human bombs by the militants.
Yung theory natin dyan is that they might be used with the body explosives, no, lalagay sa katawan. And the moment na pag lumapit ka doon, it might be remote control detonated. So ilalagyan sila doon, sa kabila naman mag-control. So these are very dangerous.
Several meters from the battlefield, loud music is played. The military says more than boosting the morale of frontline troops, the sound serves as guide to safety for fleeing residents. And as fierce fighting grinds on, police and military units watch over the periphery of the war zone. From this vantage point, ground forces are saying the fighting is about 2 kilometers from where we are now. While they get a wider view of this open field, they say it's a challenge to secure this area, especially during nighttime.
Zero visibility dito sa area, di natin alam kung may gumagapang na sa atin.
A month after Marawi came under attack, there's still no end in sight. Abu Sayyaf and Maute fighters may lose the battle for Marawi, but not before the city is laid to waste. Now another civilian, this time a government worker, was injured this afternoon after he was hit by a stray bullet. Lanao del Sur Crisis Management Committee spokesman Zia Alonto Adyong says Stray bullets rained down on the provincial capital building entrance area shortly before 4 p.m. The victim was identified as Ismail Saripa, the utility worker in the building. Accordingly, one of the stray bullets hit him in the foot. He was rushed to the Amay Pakpak Hospital where he's undergoing medical treatment. Pia.
Yeah, David, so many reports of all these incidents, stray bullets hitting structures and even, like you said, people, particularly at the provincial capital, which is supposed to be a safe zone. Tell us about the sense of insecurity that people there must be feeling.
So the Lanao del Sur capital compound is just among, if not the only declared safe zone in Marawi at this time. It is located about 2 to 3 kilometers from the city proper, which is, as we know, ground zero of the fierce fighting. And the Crisis Management Committee, as well as rescue and emergency response units, are all based inside the capital. Hundreds of evacuees are also temporarily staying in a building also within the compound. Now, most media organizations are also here, including TV networks that have set up their broadcast equipment. But the capital is also just across the 103rd Army Brigade headquarters, which has come under constant attack by sniper fire and indiscriminate firing. Now, following the incident with Adam Harvey, the Australian journalist hit by a stray bullet last week, officials have constantly reminded mediamen to always wear protective gears. But most people, government workers, rescue personnel, and even residents who are simply transacting business at the capital do not have or do not wear bulletproof vests or helmets. With this latest incident, Pia, it remains to be seen if local officials will have to take measures in order to address this problem. Pia.
David Santos there reporting from Iligan. In the wake of the crisis in Marawi, Metro Manila Police Chief Oscar Albayalde warns those protecting individuals involved in illegal activities. Albayalde met with Muslim leaders today. Our George Cahiles gives us details. He's reporting live from Taguig. George, what was the outcome of that meeting?
Well, do not cuddle individuals involved in illegal activities or else suffer the consequence of getting arrested. That's the warning of Metro Manila Police Chief Director Oscar Albayalde during a dialogue with Muslim leaders this afternoon. With no early end in sight to the crisis in Marawi, Albayalde says Muslims here in Metro Manila should cooperate with authorities to prevent the entry of terrorists. Albayalde says the forum is a preemptive move and so far they have not monitored any imminent security threat. He adds their monitoring shows no one among those involved in the firefight in Marawi has fled to Metro Manila. But Albayalde says they are requesting the public to report suspicious persons in the area. So let's listen to the statements from the police and Muslim leaders during the forum.
Gusto niyo po bang mangyari yung sa dami ng namatay doon sa Marawi, mangyari dito sa Metro Manila, no? So wag po tayong kumupkup nung kung alam natin, no? Alam natin na talagang merong kasalanan yung ating mga kapatid, whether Muslim o Kristiyano, no? Para po maiwasan natin yung pagbuwis ng buhay.
We will never allow that to happen. We should police our own ranks. Mga lugar natin, tingnan natin ang paligid natin. Kung mayroong mga kahinalang mga tao na makakasira sa ating katahimikan sa ating paligid, mag-text ka na lang sa pulisya. At least, ma-aksyonan ka agad.
Well, the PNP is requesting Muslim leaders to identify and report new persons in their communities. That way, they may preempt attempts of some to sow terror in capital region. Pia.
George, there have been police memorandums circulating in social media about possible bombing incidents here in Metro Manila. What did the NCRPO say about those again?
Well, Albayalde says while some of those memoranda may be legitimate, he clarifies that the content of those memo are information that are subject for verification. And he says it is normal for police to cascade information to other police stations so that they may help in investigating or verifying those information. Again, Albayalde reminds the public to stop sharing unvalidated reports as it may cause unnecessary panic. Yeah.
George Quiles there reporting from Taguig. More news later on about the crisis in Marawi. But first, here is the world at a glance. A historic mosque in the Iraqi city of Mosul reduced to rubble. U.S. and Iraqi officials say the terror group ISIS blew up the Grand Al-Nuri Mosque and its famous leaning minaret. But the group says U.S. warplanes were responsible for the destruction. The mosque stood in the city for more than 8 centuries. It was where ISIS declared the creation of a caliphate. Russia cancelled a meeting between senior U.S. and Russian officials to resolve problems in the relationship between the two countries. It comes in response to the U.S. tightening sanctions on Russia to force the end of its occupation of Crimea. The Russian Foreign Ministry said Washington's desire to seek common ground with Russia sounds unconvincing. It warned there will be a response, including practical retaliatory measures. A U.S. State Department spokeswoman said they regretted Russia's decision to cancel the talks and added a package of sanctions issued Tuesday, only reinforced those already in place. And the Gulf Coast of the United States preparing for the wrath of Tropical Storm Cindy. Officials from Texas through Florida warning residents to be cautious this week. Cindy is bringing severe weather, including heavy rains and winds. It has claimed at least one victim. On Wednesday, a 10-year-old boy was fatally struck by a log carried by a wave. Metro Manila police officials meeting Muslim leaders here in the metro. Find out more about what they discussed. And British television goes viral again with this anchor who's keeping it cool amid an on-air glitch. Those stories and more here in Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. NCRPO dialogue. How many? Welcome on CNN Philippines. Let's do a little recap first of the stories that you heard. David Santos and George Quiles reporting. David Santos reporting from Iligan. Earlier in the day, he was in Marawi, and they were able to walk around certain portions of that destroyed city, so they got a pretty good view of what was going on there. David also reporting about stray bullet incidents in the capital, the provincial capital, which he said was supposed to be a safe zone for the last few days. Apparently, that incident shattering in so many ways that belief. David Santos also reporting about how difficult it is, especially at night, for government troops there in Marawi, still battling Maute terrorists who've holed up in certain portions of at least 4 out of 96 barangays in the city of Marawi. We'll have more stories for you in Marawi and Iligan, the evacuees, for example. Very dire situation in evacuation centers in Iligan. We'd like to say hello to some of our viewers right now. Gregory Laida, who's watching from Pandacan in Manila. Guillermo de Guzman, watching from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Alan Calmerin, watching from Saudi Arabia also. And Misty Diaz, watching from Qatar. This Newsnight on CNN Philippines. The foreign ministers of Indonesia and Malaysia arrived in Manila and met with Foreign Affairs Secretary Alan Cayetano. The main agenda, how to stop terrorism and extremism. Let's get the latest from our senior correspondent Ina Andalong from Pasay City. Ina, what information can you share with us from their closed-door meeting?
Well, Pia, this afternoon's talks between the Philippines, Malaysia, and Indonesia definitely complements the agreement on joint patrols signed among the 3 countries in Indonesia a couple of days ago. That agreement aims to fight a number of crime at sea faced by the 3 countries, from piracy, human trafficking, and of course terrorism. The trilateral talks this afternoon, though, focuses specifically, as you mentioned, the fight against extremism, which is especially urgent for the Philippines, considering the ISIS-linked terrorist operations in Marawi. With the Maute group believed to be working with foreign terrorists, including Indonesians and Malaysians, this forum is even more useful in helping the Philippines track down and also prevent the further entry of foreign extremists. The discussions aim to establish mechanisms to boost intelligence and information sharing. Secretary Alan Cayetano did say or tell us earlier that they're eyeing a system similar to how immigration offices of different countries work together, specifically in tracking down people. With terrorists today using the internet to spread disinformation and also influence people, the officials here also tackled innovative ways to combat these efforts, which was actually an issue raised by the Malaysian foreign minister in his opening statement. Cayetano said Malaysia and Indonesia also vowed to help destroy ISIS's attempt to make this problem of terrorism an issue between Muslims and Catholics. Now let's listen to portions of the statements made earlier by the foreign ministers.
The threat that we are facing is imminent. No action is not an option. Thus, this is incumbent upon us to embark on taking concrete action. This also due to the fact that the threat of terrorism is even more worrying because of the FTF and social media factors. Therefore, cooperation among the three of us is a necessity.
In the past, terrorists retained a sense of self-preservation, unlike today. It is far more difficult to stop people who are willing to die. Now, secondly, technology has enabled terrorists to spread the message faster and more broadly than ever before.
Now, Secretary Cayetano, for his part, thanked Malaysia and Indonesia for their support in the country's fight against terrorism. But apart from boosting intelligence sharing, the Secretary cited the need for the three countries to address the root causes of extremism.
We are meeting today that we may cooperate and collaborate and care about each other. While the battle is now in the hands of the armed forces, let us not lose sight that drugs, crime, poverty, and injustices create fertile ground for extremism. The struggle to uplift the quality and dignity of each life is the ultimate struggle.
Now, this is just the start of more similar talks. The three countries are planning to meet again by the end of the year in Indonesia, and Secretary Cayetano said that they would want to eventually get other ASEAN member nations to join in this effort. Pia?
Well, Ina, as you mentioned, Indonesian and Malaysian nationals believed to be working with the Maute group in Marawi. Was this discussed in the talks?
Well, Secretary Cayetano was asked about that. He was tight-lipped on specific intelligence information shared about foreign terrorists in Marawi, but he did say that enough information were shared to the Philippines, enough for us to combat terrorism in the country. He said there were discussions, particularly on limiting the movement of foreign terrorists to keep them from crossing borders. Now, AFP Chief of Staff General Eduardo Año actually said about 40 foreign terrorists are currently in different parts of the country, 20 of them Indonesians, and about 6, he says, are Malaysians. And he says these numbers may still increase if the three countries don't work together. He said they're already seeing indication that more foreign terrorists could be coming or arriving in the Philippines.
Sa Mosul ngayon, maganda rin yung effort ng allied forces doon. So, in fact, they are forecasting na in 6 months matalo nila yung ISIS doon. So, we expect na yung mga ma-displaced doon pupunta ng Asia. And because of the Marawi uprising, parang magnet itong Pilipinas. So, yun ang babantayan.
Again, this is why Philippine officials can't stress enough the need to boost cooperation with Indonesia and Malaysia. Pia?
Ina Delong there reporting from Pasay. Senator J.V. Ejercito says he's in favor of extending martial law in Mindanao if this means giving the army more time to flush out terrorists in the south. Speaking to the source, Ejercito adds many Mindanaoans favor martial law.
I just came from Mindanao and I was able to talk to some people. Most of the Mindanaoans, I would say probably 90%, are in favor of martial law in Mindanao because prime most concern for them is to crush this rebellion as soon as possible because it's affecting the economic situation, potential investments are put on hold because of this Marawi crisis. So, if needed, so that the armed forces will have all the instrument needed to crush the rebellion as soon as possible, then a few days, probably a few weeks, would not hurt anymore. So I'm willing to grant that in case the armed forces ask for it, and depends also on the situation before the 6-day period arrives.
Will the country host the Miss Universe pageant again this year? The tourism department says it may be too soon. And find out what happens when a BBC anchor was left silent and staring on air for 4 minutes. This is Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. Welcome back. Facebook Live here on CNN Philippines Newsnight. Just like we said, in the next segment, we have this story for you. A BBC anchor was left to fend for himself on air. He was on air for 4 minutes. For many of you, 4 minutes isn't very long, but that is an eternity on television. That is what we call dead air, and it is one of the worst nightmares for any television anchor. But you're going to see that story. It's told by Jeannie Mose of CNN in a very, very light fashion, light manner. It's a very interesting story. Very funny, actually. Also, we'd like to say hello to some of our viewers. Liza Filiarca, who's watching from Iloilo City. Anak Miskin, watching from Kuwait. Jaja Flores, who is in Singapore. On June 27, at 8 o'clock in the evening, please watch Inside Marawi, a documentary that's the latest offer here on CNN Philippines. That is on June 27 at 8 o'clock in the evening. This is Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. Welcome back. Some 17 million people along the Gulf Coast in the United States are under a tropical storm warning. That as a tropical storm barrels towards the country. Cindy is forecast to make landfall Thursday morning, but severe weather is already hitting a number of states. The storm could bring strong winds and up to a foot of rain to some spots over the next 24 hours. Louisiana Governor John Bell Edwards declared a state of emergency on Wednesday.
Obviously continue to take this storm very seriously, and we urge everyone in Louisiana to do the same.
Rain could come over a period of time, but if it all comes at one time, we expect to have localized flooding.
The storm already claimed at least one victim. A 10-year-old boy on Wednesday was fatally struck by a log carried by a wave. Every news anchor's nightmare came true during a BBC newscast Tuesday evening. The show hit a technical glitch, leaving the anchors staring at the camera with nothing to say for 4 minutes. But seen as Jeannie Mose reports, some viewers didn't seem to mind.